everyone, Amanda here with Eclectic Scribbles, and I'm back to you today with a brand new video. So today's video is going to be a review of the Scrivwell hardcover notebook with dotted pages. And I just ordered this off of Amazon. When I ordered it, you had choices between this purple, a nice teal green or teal blue kind of color, and a nice light pink. So I went with the purple. And to give you a little bit of the information, it says it is 240 dotted pages of high quality 100 GSM paper. The Scrivwell notebook is designed to be a sturdy notebook to be taken everywhere on the go. Alright, so I also got this on sale. It was marked as originally $19.99 with an $8 savings, so I paid $11.99 for this book. So it is a good $8 or so cheaper than the Leuchtturms or the Scribbles That Matter at the moment. It says it's an A5. It says it's got 240 dotted inner pages, an expandable folder, 2-page markers. It's high quality 100 GSM paper, and it has an elastic enclosure band. Okay. So I have not even opened this book yet. I'm opening it right now. All I did was take the shrink wrap off of it, and now we are going to go jump into the review. So because the Leuchtturm and the Scribbles That Matter are two of the most common notebooks, those are the ones I'm going to be comparing it with. So I have to say that I really like the design. It's sort of a leathery kind of look to the outside of the book. That's really nice. It comes with this little thing. So that is your little label for the Scrivwell journal. And it says it is ivory colored paper. It looks pretty bright white actually. Well, especially compared to the Leuchtturm. So I'm going to open this up. It lays nice and flat. That's not an issue. The pages are not numbered. I will go ahead and let you know that. You've got the 2-page markers here. This looks like I should probably trim the edge off. Just 2 little ribbon bookmarks in here that are probably comparable to the stuff, maybe a little bit cheaper than the stuff in the Scribbles That Matter, and definitely a little bit cheaper than the ribbon bookmarks in the Leuchtturm. This is your little expandable pocket here in the back. That's nice and good size. There's no information, no stickers, no nothing in here. Okay, so that's empty, and it's got sort of a fabric-y feel on the opening. Alright, so that is what I noticed up front. Let's open up our notebooks here just to an open page so that we can lay these down and compare them. See if I can find something in the back here. Alright, so we've got ivory paper, we've got the cream paper in the Leuchtturm, and compared to these two, it is a fairly bright white color as far as the paper. It's definitely a lot lighter than the creamy here, and it's even lighter than the Scribbles That Matter paper. Now, to the touch, you can tell that the Leuchtturm paper and the Scribbles That Matter paper is really, really smooth. It almost feels like the paper's sort of been finished a little bit, whereas this doesn't have that same feeling. It doesn't feel like the pages are sort of coated like these two do. So it is very smooth paper, however, so that is a good thing. But the real test is going to be how it holds up to ink and water and everything else. So I'm going to use this back page here, and we're going to sort of see how it stands up to the pens that I would use the most. So we'll run a Tombow over it, run some Staedtler ink over it, microns, this Kelly Creates brush pen. Let's see, the mono drawing pen, and how about a twin tone? So we'll see how these stack up to this paper. So I'm just going to scribble everything out real quick, and I will be right back. Okay, so here we have several options as far as pens are concerned. I made these little marks over here and swiped them right away to see which ones would smudge, and then gave it a couple of seconds to see if it would smudge afterwards. So it feels like the ink sort of sits on top of the paper for just a second and then starts to sink in, which is sort of what is happening down here with the water. So if you give this an opportunity to dry, the water's not going to pick it back up. And this feels like it's starting to degrade the paper a little bit when you put water on it. As long as it's wet, it will pick up and move, but as soon as it starts to dry, you can see that it's not going to move anymore. It felt a little rough writing with the Tombow on top of it, and it's almost like it slightly alters the color of the pen, sort of like the Walmart version or the $5 Michaels version did. So for instance, this is the color on this paper of this Tombow, and this is the color in the Leuchtturm. You can see this is a lot brighter, it's vibrant. It completely changed the tone of that Tombow and made it darker than the pen actually is. Alright, so that is how that would sit there. Let's see if I can grab this as well. So here's a pen test page here. There you go. So that's the color. There's a slight difference between all three. This stayed one color. This got a little bit darker, and then this is a lot darker. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera, but alright, but there we go. Alright, so it just, you can hear the pen writing on top of the surface of the paper. Okay. So everything is going to smudge a little bit when you first set it down, because like I said, it sits on top of the paper, but if you give it a few minutes or a few seconds, it dries fairly well and sinks in. Let's turn this over and sort of see what happens. Okay, so looking at this, I can see the Kelly Creates pen has started to sort of bleed through the paper a little bit. The Tombows are sitting on top of the paper with no problem. There's no ghosting. There's no real shadowing at all through anything, but the Kelly Creates looks like it might come down a little bit. You could tell where the page buckled on the other side from the water, but nothing really bled through there either. So I think it's sort of mostly a textile kind of sensation that is sort of throwing me off on this paper. You could just tell that the paper is not quite the quality. It's not coated, or it doesn't feel coated. It doesn't feel as smooth as the other two. It just feels a little, it feels a little rougher. It has a little bit more of a tooth to it, and the colors sit on top of the page for a minute. But yeah, once it's down, it's not really coming back up. It will smear with water, but it's not going to come back up. So that is something to note with that. The water doesn't bleed through though, so that's also something. So it's just going to be a matter of taste here. I really like that the paper is bright white though. But I think, again, it's bright white because there's no real coating to the paper, so it doesn't hold the ink as well. Let's try one of the Tombow Fudenosuke pens. Yeah, it's more of a tooth to this pen as well. You can see it's starting to come through in a couple of places, although mostly it sits on top of the page as well. But you can hear the pen sort of scratch out the ink. You can definitely hear and feel that on or through the pen. I don't really mind that the pages aren't numbered. There is no index up front where you would get an index with, say, the Scribbles That Matter or the LT 1917. There's it just goes straight into the first page. I mean, the book lays nice and flat no matter where you open it, so that's always good. It's just, I think that this is going to be a matter of preference with the feel of the paper. It just feels a little rougher than I would be willing to use. And it's going to react with your pen. So just as long as you give it a few seconds to dry, you would be fine with this. I wouldn't go crazy with the watercolor because you can feel it starting to pull up the fibers on the paper, but as far as handling the water, it does really well. On the other side of the paper, you're not going to see anything, which has been a little bit of an issue with the Scribbles That Matter. Depending upon how much water you throw down on a Scribbles That Matter page, it will bleed through, and definitely on the iconic versions, whereas the pros handle the water a little bit better. But overall, this is not a bad notebook for the price. Like I said, I paid $11.99 for this. The list price was originally $19.99. Whether or not they will keep that sale going on for a little while, I'm not sure. But this could be a handy little journal for someone. It's a nice A5 size. The little elastic band is very nice. It's the same size as the Leuchtturm. The cover is a little bit thicker on it. It's not got really any give. The cover looks really, really nice in comparison to this. The spine is a little bit thicker on that as well. So it is a nice A5 size. Alright, so you've got 26 boxes across, which is the same as the Leuchtturm, and you've got 39 boxes vertically, so about the same. It's a 5mm dot grid. The dots are a nice gray tone. They're not too bold. I actually like this size, so they wouldn't really jump out at you once you started to write down on the page. The color of the paper is really nice. Yeah, it's just a textile sort of thing with how the paper reacts to ink, and that is just personal preference for me. As far as holding up to the ink itself, it did really well. Like I said, the only thing that really started to bleed through at all was the Kelly Creates pen and maybe the Tombow Fudenosuke brush a little bit, but otherwise the Tombow sat right on top, the Staedtler sat right on top, the fine liner set on top as well. So even the watercolor held up pretty well, and now that this is completely dry, you can barely tell that the page even buckled, so it will hold up to water fairly well. And if you give it a couple of seconds to dry, you're not going to have to really worry about your ink smudging. So all in all, I mean, it's a nice little notebook for the price. It's a little less expensive than both the Leuchtturm and the Scribbles That Matter, especially now. So, I mean, I would definitely say that this is worth a shot. If you have a problem with the roughness of the paper, then you might want to go with the Leuchtturm or with the Scribbles That Matter, but that is completely personal preference in that matter. Alright, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the little notifications bell so you are informed each and every time I upload new content. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, everyone. I will see you again here next week. Until next time, happy journaling, everyone. Bye.